Buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. But what a lot of buyers don't realize is the costs of owning a home go way beyond just the mortgage. Hidden expenses can pop out of nowhere, from repairs to maintenance, and these costs can quickly add up. While renting has its own struggles, homeownership comes with its own set of challenges that can lead to regret if you're not fully prepared. In this video, I'm going to take a closer look at the hidden costs of owning a home, sharing the 5 key steps renters can take to avoid that feeling of being overwhelmed or just financially strapped in those initial stages of home ownership. But you still might be wondering, why should you listen to me? Well, I've been on both sides. Renter for 8 years, so I know what it's like to have the flexibility and just the ease of not worrying about maintenance or unexpected repairs. But now, I've been a homeowner for the last 5 years, and I've experienced the reality of the hidden costs, the responsibilities, the financial commitment that comes with owning a home. Whether you're a renter or a potential home buyer, I want to help you make an informed decision so you don't get caught off guard or regret buying the home altogether. So if you're new here, my name is Richard. My channel is all about real estate, focusing on educating and empowering people such as yourself. After watching this video, if you find it helpful, give it a like, or if you want to support the time and effort I put into making these videos, subscribe to the channel. Let's talk about the hidden cost of owning a home. It's easy to think about the price of the home and the monthly mortgage payment, but there's a lot more to it than that. First, there's maintenance. Things like roof repairs, plumbing issues, HVAC system upkeep, or even pest control. These things come up when you least expect them, and they can cost a significant amount. Then there's repairs, right? We got major ones like replacing appliances, fixing foundation issues, or dealing with water damage. These can cost thousands of dollars, and it's something you need to realize that can happen. Then don't forget about utilities: water, electricity, gas, trash removal, lawn care, strata fees if you're living in a strata. All of these add to your monthly expenses. Then finally, you got your home insurance, you got property taxes. These, like the other ones mentioned, can increase over time, so it's really important to factor these into your long-term budget. If you're a renter, it's easy to forget these costs because your landlord usually just handles the repairs, the maintenance, while all you're doing is just paying rent. But when you own a home, all of these costs are on you. So what I would do before you buy is do a full budget analysis, not just for the mortgage, but for all the other costs like maintenance, insurance, taxes, strata fees if they're applicable. It's also smart to set up an emergency fund for those repairs, for those maintenance, so you're not caught off guard when they do in fact happen. The next problem I see renters not realizing when it comes to home ownership is the reduced flexibility, right? Because renting gives you the ability to just pick up and move whenever you want, whether it's for a new job or a life change, you no longer like the area. With home ownership though, it's not that easy. Maybe you get a job offer in a new city or your life circumstances change. Selling your home can be a hassle. It takes time, and depending on the market, it may not sell quickly or you may lose money on the sale. And if you're thinking about life changes like moving closer to your family or pursuing new opportunities, it can become a lot more complicated when you do own a home. If you're renting though, you can just pack up, leave with a lot less stress. So my advice, if you are renting, if you know you're not planning to stay in one place for long, home ownership may not be right for you, as renting is the best option if you need flexibility. But if you are ready to buy, try and make sure you'll stay in that home for at least 5 to 7 years. That way the investment is worthwhile. Then we have the emotional and financial stress, which is something a lot of homeowners worry about, especially when it comes to market fluctuations. The reality is the housing market isn't predictable, and it can really impact how you feel about your investment. Because when property values drop, it's not just a financial setback. It can cause a lot of stress. And if you bought at the peak of the market and prices go down, you may feel yourself in a situation where you owe a lot more money than your home is actually worth. And nobody wants to be in that spot. Then adding to the feeling of being overwhelmed, you can find yourself unsure of whether or not you made the right decision. As a renter, you don't have to worry about the market fluctuations. You're not tied up to the ups and the downs of the property values. But if you're buying, it's important to understand the risks. But if you are buying, it's important to understand the risks that are involved. Be prepared for the possibility that your home's value could drop in the short term. And what I always tell clients is view home ownership as a long-term investment. Make sure you're financially prepared for those market changes. Have a cushion to help you manage the stress if the values fluctuate. And at this point, you might be wondering, with all of these challenges, is buying a home really the right choice? Ultimately, I just can't answer that for you. But these next 2 points that I'm going to go over, most renters don't even think about it or realize that they can happen. Though not to worry, because I'll share some practical steps that you can take to avoid these regrets and make homeownership more manageable. Tips that can really make a difference in how prepared you feel. Next thing I see renters regretting or just not fully understanding is the time commitment involved in homeownership. When you're renting, a landlord handles the repairs, the maintenance. When you own a home though, all of that is on you. To give you a real world example, there was a snowstorm in my city that came through, blew a bunch of snow in my attic, which was terrible. A couple days later, when it warmed up and the snow started to melt, I noticed water stains in the ceiling, which required me to go in the attic, get it all sorted. It literally took me the whole day. My point with all of this is that the house doesn't care that if you have plans or if you have an important meeting you need to attend. If your furnace breaks down and it's minus 20 degrees Celsius outside, you need to fix it immediately. So keep in mind, you'll need to spend some time dealing with these repairs, whether it's fixing something yourself or maybe hiring a professional to do it. Other tasks like yard work or snow removal can eat up hours in your day-to-day life. And then don't forget about the renovations or the upgrades. You might want to change things around the house or improve the property, which is great. But all this takes time and effort. Whereas a renter usually has a lot more free time because the landlord handles all the upkeep and all you do is just hand them a check and phone them when things break. But if you're planning to buy a home, think about whether you're ready for the time commitment that's needed. As just home ownership comes with a lot of responsibilities and work. So if you're not sure if you're up for all this, consider just renting for a little bit longer. There's nothing wrong with that. And then finally, I see renters overlook this one the most. It's just the lack of being able to save money when you do own a home versus renting. As in most cases, a home often ties up a huge chunk of your income because beyond the mortgage, like we mentioned before, you got maintenance fees, you got property taxes, you got insurance. The list just goes on, which all of that can leave you with a lot less disposable income than you're used to. So what should you as a renter keep in mind? Well, as a renter, you're usually going to have more flexibility with your finances. But when you own a home, it's important to avoid stretching yourself way too thin. Make sure your total housing costs doesn't exceed your planned budget, or at least that percentage in your mind of your total income. Now, this percentage can be different for everyone because everyone has a different comfort level. One thing to keep in mind is there is a limit that the Canadian government sets, so you're not gonna be able to go over that. But besides that, you need to be comfortable with it because that way you'll just maintain financial flexibility and just still be able to enjoy life without worrying about the finances every month. So before diving into homeownership, it's essential to be aware of the hidden costs and just the potential challenges that can come with it. By doing a thorough budget analysis, planning for maintenance and repairs, being prepared for market fluctuations, evaluating lifestyle impacts, and maintaining financial flexibility, you'll be able to make a more informed decision that aligns with your long-term goals. And this is what I love to do. Sit down with people like yourself and see if it actually makes sense to buy based on your personal situation. So if you're in that spot where you're thinking it's time to start the home buying process, I put a link in the description of this video to my schedule where you can pick a time that works best for you, or if that's just too complicated, text me at this number right here and we'll schedule a time to chat. So as you've seen and are probably experiencing right now, renting offers more flexibility, in a lot of cases, less stress. Whereas home ownership requires a lot more preparation and just time commitment overall. Both have their pros, both have their cons, but by considering all these factors, you can avoid the common regrets and make a decision that works best for you in the long run. So if you are in fact curious though on wanting to figure out the total cost of owning a home versus the total cost of renting, I'll load that up shortly right here. But if you have any questions in the meantime, put them in the comments. And while you do that, I'm gonna go fly some drones.